Hey y'all, welcome to Memaw's house, where we're sharing good times, eating good food, and we hope you enjoy your stay. Hey y'all, welcome back to Memaw's house. I am back in the kitchen, got my apron already on because it is time to cook one more time. I wanted to try a recipe for my family today, and it's a recipe that I'm developing, so I'm going to try to put it together and then we'll see what the family says. So I'm going to make today an apple pie cinnamon bun. So let's get to cooking. We're going to start our recipe today by fixing our buns, the bun portion of our cinnamon bun. And we'll start that with a cup of warm water, to which I will add our teaspoon and a half of fast-acting yeast. Remember that when you're mixing your yeast in your water, you want your water to be warm, but not real warm. You want it to be warm enough as though you were testing a baby's bottle, and you want it to be just enough for you to feel the warmth. So, to my yeast and water, I'm adding 3 teaspoons of sugar. Now, to the mixture, I'm going to add 2/3 cup of Carnation evaporated milk. You can use any brand of evaporated milk you want to. I want this to be an enriched dough, so I'm going to add an egg. We're going to get that egg mixed in well. We want to break the egg up pretty well and get it mixed. And then we'll get all of our liquid ingredients into our bread maker pan. Now y'all have seen me use my bread maker before to make dough, and that's exactly what we're doing today. I like my bread maker, but I prefer to make the dough and then form the dough with my own hands rather than have the bread maker do everything. I have used the bread maker to make a loaf of bread, but I don't like the shape of the bread that this makes. So I'm going to go ahead and add my flour, and we'll get it into the bread maker so that it can make my dough. It takes about 23 or 24 minutes for this particular bread maker to make the dough. So I'm going to continue on and add my 4 cups of flour to my pan. Once I get that all done, we're going to get it into the bread maker, get it set. But before I do that, I have to add some salt. So I'll add about 1.5 teaspoons of salt to the mixture. In goes the salt, and let's mix it up just a little bit. And we'll close down our maker, get her wiped off, and turn her on. Now this particular bread maker has the settings right on top. You see the small print on top? That tells me which one I need to set it on for what type of bread I'm making. If you're interested in what bread maker I'm using, I'll link it down below so that you can see about getting you one just like it. I like it. She's pretty banged up because I've used it for so many years, but she works very well for me. So now it's time to peel some apples. Now I had some extra apples here at the house, so I'm going to go ahead and peel them. Y'all know we on our no spend January, so I'm not letting anything go to waste, and we're only going to eat out one time a week because we're trying to save money. That's the whole purpose of our no spend January. Let's go ahead and get these apples peeled, and if you want to use canned apples or apple pie filling, you most certainly may do that. I would chop those apples up fine because, they make the apple pie filling or canned apples to be big slices of apples. But we want our apples to be cut up into bite-sized pieces. Now I'm going to continue to core these apples. I've peeled them and now I'm coring them. And I would use my corer, but it automatically cuts the apple into slices. I didn't want it to be cut into slices, so I went ahead and cored them by hand. Once I get them all cored, then we'll be able to chop them up into small pieces. Now you see my bowl of apple pieces, the peel and the cores. I'm not letting that go to waste because I found out by watching Leaf and Bean Farm over on TikTok, and I believe she has a channel here on YouTube. She talked about making apple cider vinegar. So guess what Memaw's going to try her hand at next? Apple cider vinegar. If you're interested in seeing how it turns out, I will certainly let you see it because I'm going to talk about it as soon as it comes out, if it comes out okay. If it doesn't, I'll let you know. But in the meanwhile, let's go ahead and chop up our apples. We want them small so that we can get them on our cinnamon roll dough and into our mouths and our tummies. Now I'm going to finish chopping these apples, and I'm going to give you some good apple chopping music to listen to while I do it. Okay, the apples are chopped, and now it's time to get them on the heat. I'm going to use my heavy bottom skillet. I'm going to put it on a medium-high heat. Melt some butter because no apple pie filling is complete without a little bit of butter. So let's put our butter in, get it heated up, and add our apples. I had a couple of apple pieces in there that hid under the rest of them. So I'm going to get those chopped up into this pile, and we'll cook these down. We'll add some sugar, we'll add some cinnamon, and a pinch of salt to make our filling. Now I will allow these to cook after I have seasoned them. I'll allow these to cook for about 7 to 8 minutes, just until they're fork tender. Now here I'm going to add 2/3 cup of packed brown sugar, light brown sugar. You can use dark brown sugar. I like the flavor of the light brown sugar. Now to this, I'm going to go ahead and add 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla, and then we'll add a teaspoon of cinnamon. Now that may seem like just a little bit for now, but I'm going to add more cinnamon before we bake them. Now that the cinnamon has been added, let's go ahead and add a pinch of salt. And a pinch can be a half a teaspoon of salt, and that's about what I'm adding here. The salt just really brings out the sweet flavor of the apples. You can't taste the salt, but you can certainly taste the flavor of the apples better. Now let's get these other two sneaky apples all chopped up and put into this pan and get everything stirred together and cooked. Now that I've stirred these all together, I'm going to cover them and let them simmer for about 8 minutes. Now I want to thicken the liquid that's on my apples, so I'm going to add a little flour slurry and cook this down for about a minute because I don't want my apple filling to be too wet to make my dough soggy. So let's go ahead and add our flour slurry, and you can add a tablespoon of flour to a quarter of a cup of water, and that should get you a nice thick amount of juice for your apple filling. Now that that's thickened well, I'm going to go ahead and take it off the eye, transfer it to a bowl, and put it in the refrigerator to cool. So it took the apples about 30 minutes to cool down sufficiently. In the meanwhile, the bread maker was making the dough and allowing it to rise to this degree. So now it's time to pull all of our ingredients together. I'm going to go ahead and turn my dough out onto a floured surface and get it rolled out. And then to that, I will add my cooled apple pie filling. Now I'm going to work my dough just a little bit. I don't want to work it too much. It's a really wet dough, and I want it to be a wet dough, but I want it to have a smooth surface. So I'm going to work it just a little bit, and then we're going to shape it into an 18 by 10 rectangle. We'll roll it out and get our filling put on. So let me get some baking music on, and you can enjoy what I'm doing. Now that I've rolled out my dough to the size that I want, I'm going to brush it with some softened butter, and then we'll get our filling added on. Okay, I'm spreading my filling out, as you can see, into a very thin layer. I don't want too many apples up on top of each other. And now I will begin to roll. Now, you've seen me make cinnamon rolls before, and you know that I normally use my good old handy dandy kitchen dental floss, but today I'm going to use my pastry cutter. Now that we're almost at the far side of the roll, I'm going to go ahead and pull that edge over onto the roll that I have rolled up already, if that makes sense. And then we're going to pinch it closed, close those ends, and we'll get ready to cut it with our pastry cutter. Now, as we're getting the last couple of pieces in, we're going to go ahead and set this in a warm spot in the kitchen, cover it with a towel, and let it rise one more time for about 30 minutes. But you know I'm not going to let these apple pieces just lay on the counter. So my counter was clean, so I'm adding my apple pieces back onto the cut buns. Now this looks like they're ready to proof, but I want to add just a handful more of brown sugar, and we're going to also add a little bit of cinnamon. So I'm adding another 1/4 cup of brown sugar, and then I'm going to add my cinnamon. Now it's time to cover with the towel and let it rest. Okay, it's been resting for about half an hour, and you see it's doubled in size yet again. And I placed it in a 400-degree oven. I had it on the middle rack for about 15 minutes, put it on the lower rack for about 5 minutes. And now they are done. Look at these cinnamon rolls. I can't wait to taste them, but we gotta let them cool. Now I'm going to go ahead and serve Peyton one because she wants to be my taste tester today. And we'll see how it tastes. I'm not adding any frosting or any glaze to these cinnamon rolls. I will make some for later, but I want to taste these just as they are right now. Okay, my taste tester is going to give it a bite.
You can taste that delicious apple. It's so moist. Every flavor is 10 out of 10.
Oh, very nice. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, y'all, it's my turn to taste test. Look at that. Ooh. This part is so nice and fluffy. I like it. What I would do now, if I did it again, and when I do it again, he would have a little bit more juice in the apples. So we're gonna work on this, y'all. But I'm gonna put the recipe down in the description box, and I hope you enjoyed today's video and that you give this recipe a try. It is delicious. Y'all be blessed. Bye. Thank y'all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. And if you haven't subscribed already, we would love to have you as part of the family here at Memaw's house. Come on back and see me, and y'all be blessed. Bye.